Imagine standing before an impenetrable fortress, its walls stretching high into the sky. Now, picture those walls crumbling to dust with nothing more than the sound of trumpets and a mighty shout. This isn't a scene from a fantasy novel. It's a real event from the pages of history and the Bible. Welcome to the extraordinary story of Joshua and the Walls of Jericho. Our tale begins around 1400 BC. The Israelites, after 40 years of wandering in the desert, are finally ready to enter the Promised Land. But there's a catch. The land is already occupied, and the first city they must conquer is Jericho, a city with walls so thick and high that it seems unconquerable. Leading the Israelites is Joshua, a man chosen by God to succeed Moses. Joshua isn't just any leader, he's a man of unwavering faith and courage. As they approach Jericho, Joshua receives a visit from an unexpected source, the commander of the Lord's army. This divine encounter reassures Joshua of God's presence and power in the coming battle. Now, if you're expecting a typical siege with battering rams and scaling ladders, you're in for a surprise. God's battle plan is unlike anything in military history. He instructs Joshua to have the Israelite army march around the city once a day for 6 days, with 7 priests carrying trumpets made from ram's horns walking ahead of the Ark of the Covenant. Can you imagine the scene? The people of Jericho watching from their walls as this strange procession circles their city day after day. They must have been puzzled, perhaps even amused. But on the 7th day, things change dramatically. On this final day, God commands the Israelites to march around the city 7 times. After the 7th circuit, the priests are to give one long blast on their trumpets, and all the people are to give a mighty shout. It's a test of faith and obedience. Will Joshua and the Israelites trust in this unconventional battle plan? As the Bible tells us in Joshua 6:20, when the trumpets sounded, the army shouted, and at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed. So everyone charged straight in and they took the city. In a moment, the seemingly impregnable walls of Jericho come crashing down, not by human might but by divine power. This miraculous victory isn't just about conquering a city. It's a powerful demonstration of what can happen when we put our faith in God and follow His instructions, even when they seem illogical to us. The fall of Jericho sets the stage for the Israelites' conquest of Canaan, fulfilling God's promise to give them the land. But the story doesn't end with the fall of the walls. Before the battle, Joshua had instructed the Israelites that everything in the city was to be devoted to the Lord. They were not to take any plunder for themselves. This command emphasizes the spiritual nature of their conquest. It wasn't about personal gain but about fulfilling God's plan. There's one exception to this rule of destruction: Rahab, a Canaanite woman who had sheltered Israelite spies before the battle. Her faith in the God of Israel saves her and her family, demonstrating God's mercy even in judgment. Rahab's story reminds us that faith can come from unexpected places, and that God's plan of salvation extends beyond national boundaries. The fall of Jericho had a lasting impact on Israelite history. It established Joshua as a worthy successor to Moses, and proved to the Israelites that God was indeed with them in their conquest of Canaan. This event became a cornerstone of their national identity, a reminder of God's power and faithfulness. But what does this ancient story mean for us today? The walls of Jericho can be seen as a metaphor for the obstacles we face in our own lives, challenges that seem insurmountable. Just as the Israelites had to trust in God's unusual battle plan, we too are often called to step out in faith, even when the path forward seems unclear or illogical. Moreover, the story teaches us about the power of perseverance. The Israelites didn't see results for 6 days, but they kept marching. In our own lives, we may not see immediate results from our efforts or prayers, but this story encourages us to keep marching, to keep believing. Finally, the fall of Jericho reminds us that with God, nothing is impossible. The same God who brought down those ancient walls is still at work today, ready to do the miraculous in our lives when we put our trust in Him. So the next time you face your own walls of Jericho, whether it's a difficult situation at work, a challenging relationship, or a personal struggle, remember Joshua and the Israelites. Keep marching, keep believing, and be ready for God to do the impossible. After all, if God can bring down the walls of Jericho with a shout, imagine what He can do in your life. Like and subscribe for more.